Hey there, welcome to the Eurostep, a Milwaukee Bucks podcast, proudly a part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network and GSPN. I am one of your hosts, Ty Windisch, joined as always by the elegant Rohan Katti. We're presented by our friends at Prize Picks, where you can use promo code Eurostep to get $50 when you play $5. Whether you win or lose, speaking of losing, Rohan, the Bucks blew it at the 2025 NBA trade deadline. We are going to talk about it. We're going to recap it. There's been three, I guess, technically more moves that the Bucks made post our last pod, which of course was about the Kuzma for Middleton swing. We will get into each little move and then talk about the whole deadline. But sir, how are you going?
Am I going? I'm going all right, I guess.
How are you doing? It's been a long day.
No, I think that's very emblematic of what this is going to be. I didn't have super high expectations for the trade deadline for the Bucks at post Khris Middleton trade. Actually, no, that's a lie. I did have high expectations. High expectations. I thought this was going to be some, you're getting under the second apron so you can aggregate contracts, make some big moves, try to fix this roster, and justify a Khris Middleton trade. They didn't.
No,
they didn't. There was no big move. There were moves around the edges. One of them I despise with all of my being. One of them I actually quite like, but it's just bad. It's just bad. This is a team that's locked in. You can't do anything until the end of the season with these big moves. It's Bobby Portis still on the team. Pat Connaughton still on the team. I didn't expect that. I really didn't. I was thinking, oh yeah, you get under the second apron via trading a franchise pillar, so you can make some other moves, not just so you can send cash and trades, because that's what they used it for. That's the only thing they used it for, was to be able to send cash and trades. That's it.
Yeah, and well, the future draft pick, whatever, that kind of stuff. Their pick would have been frozen. The 2032 pick.
Yes, but I'm saying you trade Khris Middleton to do that instead of like I talked about last episode. If you're going to trade AJ Johnson, dump Pat.
Yeah, that's the scenario I've been saying. I would have rather done that than what they did. So let's walk through it all, and then we can talk about at the end kind of what else we would have done. Because I agree with you, sending Pat into their Washington's trade exception, send AJ Johnson, reroute Baldwin, make the Delon Wright stuff, send the cash, and get off of do all the same kind of moves. But the Bucks, of course, first made that just trade grew, but they first made the Middleton for Kuzma deal. They were going to get Patrick Baldwin Jr. They sent him to the Spurs for cash. So that with cash. For the cash, it cost them cash to do that, he was a salary dump, which I thought was a good move. I thought it would cost picks to get off of some of these minimum players, and we saw other teams around the league. They did have to give up draft picks to do that. The Bucks gained a 2025 second. I figured would be to grease the wheels on another transaction. They did not end up using that pick at the deadline. They also sent cash and Delon Wright to the Knicks, which I believe I don't know if it's all the same trade or not.
I think it might be.
I think it is. I don't know why it would have to be, but whatever. Cash and Delon Wright to the Knicks for Jericho Sims. That's the part we actually both really like. I think Sims is very promising. Like, his numbers are not. You look at his just raw, like his points per game, because he doesn't play very often. Because guess what? The Knicks have 6 centers, and they play their starters 49 minutes a game. So there's not a lot of stats to put up for a backup big in New York. But his rim protection numbers are really good. His rebounding numbers are good. He has some athletic dunks. Like, I think a very nice addition. Delon Wright and cash is nothing. I saw a friend of the show, Jonathan Macri of Knicks Film School, said he thinks it was the Knicks doing right by Jericho Sims more than wanting cash or Delon Wright, which I think is probably fair. They have Mitchell Robinson coming back. They didn't trade any of the other bigs. They still have Precious. Obviously, they have Towns. They have Ariel Hukporti. There just wasn't room for him. I think that's a very nice move, too. Would have thought that would cost a second as well. It didn't. So those things are nice, and you open up the second apron stuff needs to happen to do those trades because, as you mentioned, otherwise you can't send cash. Then they traded MarJon Beauchamp for Kevin Porter Jr. Kevin Porter Jr.
Should be in jail.
Actively under investigation from the NBA. Should be in jail. I want to use the right wording here. Agreed to a plea deal on his case. I'm trying to look up the exact right wording. I'm reading from The Athletic. Porter missed the 23-24 season after he was arrested last September and charged with assault and strangulation of his girlfriend, former WNBA player Kaiser Gonzurek. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say it. Kyra, maybe it's Kyra. Porter reached a deal with prosecutors in a Manhattan court in January, pleading guilty to misdemeanor assault and a harassment violation in the case. According to the AP, Porter must complete a 26-week abusive partner intervention program, abide by a limited order of protection, attend all court dates, and have no further arrests. After a year, if he complies, he will be allowed to withdraw the plea, effectively clearing his criminal record. Despite this, the Clippers, of course, did sign Kevin Porter Jr., crucially for Bucks' perspective, to a 2-year deal with a player option. So I saw someone saying, oh, he makes less than MarJon. Is this going to be a buyout? No, because you know that other year too. This is a player the Bucks wanted to get and a person the Bucks wanted to get, which I think is an indictment. The league is actively investigating him, although, frankly, I wonder how fervent that investigation has been going. So it seems like they stopped investigating him when he was no longer an NBA player because the Thunder cut him when he got salary dumped there. And I guess they've been investigating him this whole season.
Yeah, because people assumed he was gone. Because he should be gone.
People assumed he was gone. But I don't know if anything is going to come from that at this point. I mean, it's been a long time now
since
the Clippers have signed him. I don't know if they're actively doing something or if they just consider him under investigation. I don't know what the deal is there. Lawrence Frank, not Frank Ballmer, met with the Athletic to discuss this before the season. Said he's gone through some plans or programs or whatever. He's abiding to it. I don't know. There's been no news on him since then outside of he's just played in the NBA and not been very good.
No, he's just been bad.
Yeah.
It's too often. I don't even want to think about him as a basketball player. I don't. I really don't.
Yeah.
It's reprehensible. It's disgusting. It's horrible. I can't even I'm actively very mad.
Yeah. This I don't like this at all. I don't like having this player on the team. And we're gonna see him play basketball for the Bucks, I'm sure. I don't think you trade for him for no reason. Again, with future money, this isn't as just like a rental swap with Beauchamp and with Porter Jr. He's not gonna decline it. I mean, I don't think there's a real strong market for him. Maybe he does. I mean, it's basically a vet minimum. I guess I shouldn't say for sure he is or isn't, but I think there's a solid shot he is around next season. Still has been more productive than Beauchamp. He's averaging 9 points, but shooting 24% from 3, 48% from 2, 3.2 assists to 1.9 turnovers. I guess he's playing more off ball now. He was a point guard when he started his career. I don't see the need here. I don't think he's a good defender. I don't understand why this was a player the Bucks targeted, and it just feels really unnecessary. I would have rather wrote it out with Beauchamp and let him go, or if you wanted to find Beauchamp a home, I mean, can you send more cash? Can you get anything else? Really, literally any other player or that? Yeah.
There's so many options here. You didn't have to do this. If you
this not even so a little random.
Bit. Not even a little bit. You didn't have to. Unless there was, unless this was the only way to get rid of. But it doesn't even matter. It's not like MarJon wasn't on the books for next year.
Yeah.
Porter is a player option. This screams they wanted Kevin Porter Jr., which is an indictment on the organization.
Yeah.
There's no other way to say it.
I mean, it is, and this is kind of in different ways, I guess, what they did for a lot of these moves. I mean, they're in a very cold, I guess, clinical is probably not the right word, but unfeeling sense. Just trying to jump onto undervalued players. That was pretty much all they did this deadline. Kuzma's having his worst season ever. Sims just totally lost the ability to get minutes. And then Porter is playing, but obviously carries this horrible scarlet letter that makes a lot of people, ourselves included, find watching him play basketball for your team contemptible.
He's also bad.
He's also not been good.
I don't know how you can walk away from this trade deadline if you're the Milwaukee Bucks and be satisfied. I don't. I really don't.
I mean, I'll say it's probably the biggest, prove it deadline I can remember. Almost any team, I guess. Well, okay, the Mavericks win this, but one of the most, because I don't see the vision. I like Sims. That's fine. How much is Sims going to play? You didn't move Bob. I figured Bob would be moving and Kuzma would play more 4, and then you had Sims to play the 5. Now I don't know how much we're going to see him. It's going to be really interesting to see how Doc manages the Bucks' big room, which is huge. I mean, we're going to see.
Yeah, you have a log jam in the front court now.
Yeah, I mean, there are way too many players there. So I think we're going to see Kuzma at the 3, which I don't think is ideal for him. But we have to. Giannis is going to play 4 or 5. Brooke is going to play 5. Bob is going to play 4, 5, depending on. And Sims is going to play 5. So Giannis
is going to be playing 40 minutes a game.
Or I guess he's going to be playing 3 now. I mean, we're going to see Giannis, Bob, Sims. I guess the Bucks are just going to be huge, and that's their new thing.
Trying to score if you're the Bucks in that scenario sounds like just pulling teeth.
Need Bob to be on.
You need Sims to do anything.
He dunks. That's kind of what he does he's the dunker.
Which is good. I think we're both very happy with that.
Yeah, we if isolate that part of the transaction. I very much like what they did there.
Yeah, Delon Wright and cash for Jericho Sims is objectively a win.
It's really good. Yeah.
It's wrapped around the context of everything else, though.
Yeah.
And that's just what makes this bad. I mean, the Bucks, I guess they can still sign Rollins. They have a roster spot open.
Yeah, so they did. Pat Baldwin, nothing came back. So that was presumably the Rollins spot.
Yeah.
Although now I know.
Or it's the Myers-Leonard spot at this rate. I don't know what's going on.
I really have no idea where the idea is to factor in Porter Jr. here. The Bucks have actively too many rotation players, and I don't think enough clear starter quality players. So our vision for the deadline coming into today, and correct me if I don't want to speak for you, but I think I saw you post too, was the Bucks consolidating some combination of probably MarJon, Pat, and Bob to bring in someone like a Cameron Johnson or Alonzo Ball. A clear, this guy
Hunter
can start to. DeAndre Hunter, who went to the Cavs, which, Cavs looking fierce. There's injury concerns with all of those players, but when they're healthy, they're going to be really good. Hunter's going to be really good on the Cavs. I mean, Cam's still in Brooklyn and Lonzo's still in Chicago. Unless there's some really late breaking trade call we're going to see here, which we're 30 minutes past the deadline now, so I don't think so. But that I think would have made a lot of sense for the Bucks, because if you look at right now, trying to figure out the lineup or the rotation for this team is very difficult. Obviously you can start with Dame, Giannis, Brooke, and that's simple. Are they going to keep the same starting 5 and have Kuzma be a super sub? I presume not.
I think they have to at this point.
Really?
I think they do.
See, that's what I mean. I don't see the vision here. I mean, there's a lot of basketball players on the roster. I don't think the Bucks got better. They clearly went for athleticism. I mean, I think the 3 players, MarJon and Porter Jr. is probably a wash on that front, but Sims is more athletic than Delon Wright, and certainly Kuzma is more athletic than Middleton. But what does that mean? Are these players going to fit? And who's going to play? There's going to be guys who have been playing who lose out. Even if you assume Pat C goes back to not playing, which probably yes, that's still, let's call it a 10-man rotation. Let's just use the existing starters. Dame, Ajax, 10 minutes per game, but still a starter. Prince, Giannis, Lopez. And then Rollins, so that's 5. Rollins, Porter Jr., Trent, Prince, Green, Portis, Sims, Kuzma? Did I double count someone? That's 8 players.
I think
I must have double counted someone. I double counted Prince.
Yeah.
I double counted Prince. So 7 players. 7 players, right? Rollins, once they sign him, assuming they sign him, maybe they sign TA. I don't know what they're going to do. I did the damn Zoom thumbs up. Rollins, Green, we haven't said. Trent, we haven't said. Sims, I mean, not in this order, but Portis.
Who?
And then Porter and Kuz.
I don't think Porter, I genuinely don't think Porter's going to matter. Genuinely.
I would prefer if he didn't. I just think it's odd. I think they're at least going to give him a chance.
They shouldn't. Here's my best case scenario for this.
Yeah.
My best case scenario is they wanted to do right by MarJon.
Yeah.
And the Clippers were interested.
The Clippers did trade Terrence Mann today and Bones Highland, so there is some space there for MarJon.
And they thought MarJon wanted to go to the Clippers. They had a spot for MarJon.
Yeah.
And then you're just going to eat Porter's contract.
Yeah, I mean, that would be best case.
That is best case scenario.
Or is he just on the bench now? I mean, he is blown up.
I think you cut him.
Yeah, that would be ideal. He's blown up 2 locker rooms now, Porter Jr., in addition to the even more heinous off-court things. That would be ideal. Or like, can the NBA just make the Bucks look stupid and suspend him?
Please.
That would be nice.
I think that's best case scenario. I genuinely do not see a world where he's a member of this Bucks rotation. I don't. I really don't.
The fact that he has the player option, I'm not sure if they would have gone and gotten him if they didn't have any interest in seeing him play. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Like in what role? With who? And like
probably
what's
competing with Rollins.
What's the vision? Rollins has clearly been he's been a better player than Kevin Porter Jr. this season.
I agree. I totally agree.
And he's cheaper.
I think the one thing that the other part is, I mean, obviously without Middleton, you do lose on-ball playmaking. I mean, is this like a really cheap attempt to try and get some of that back? I mean, again, I think Rollins can do it too. I mean, Kevin Porter Jr. in the past, not this year, has been like a, teen scorer with decent efficiency, 5 to 6 assists. Like, I think they're at least going to give him a chance. I don't think he's going to be a rotation fixture, but they did lose a lot of on-ball juice, and Kuzma gives you some back, but I think he gives you actually a fair bit back.
I think Kuzma does give you more. I think like you don't need to worry about that on-ball creation when you have Kyle Kuzma, and that's not a sentence I really want to say out loud, but it just happened.
I mean, it makes you feel better about Kuz.
Is that the play here? Just set the bar in hell,
like with the Beal stuff. Like, oh, they're going to get Beal. I'm like, oh, God, do anything else. And they did something else. Now it's like, oh.
We literally did that on the podcast pre-trade. I said, we were talking about Kuzma, and you were like, no, it's the same level as Beal. And I'm like, I think Beal's worse.
Yeah.
Like, they inceptioned me.
You're right about that, by the way.
That it's better than Beal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say, I think one of the things that surprised me is around the league, a lot of the national coverage of the main part of it, I mean, people don't care about Sims or KPJ or whatever, of the Kuzma Middleton part of it. A lot of people national, again, like Zach Lowe, Nekias Duncan, are like, I get this idea for the Bucks. I don't hate this. Dan Favale was very measured on. I listened to Hardwood Knocks, kind of same deal. And I did not really expect that. And I do think Bucks fans felt much worse about it than basically anyone else.
Yeah, because there's the emotion tied to it.
Right. But I think people tried to put the emotion aside here and just focus on basketball and still really didn't like it.
Well, here's the thing. Here's why I didn't like it. And like I know I've already coped and I've already rationalized it. But also, it doesn't make sense with him and Bob. It doesn't. It really doesn't. Like, what is Bobby Portis's role now that you have Kyle Kuzma? If Kuzma's coming off the bench, there is no reason for Bobby Portis to still be on this team.
That's why I think Kuzma. I don't think they got Kuzma to come off the bench.
So you start him at the 3?
I think you do, and then you have to change the starting 5 because I don't think Ajax can start then.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. I don't like what they did. I'm fascinated to see what happens. It's a really weird collection of players now.
Yeah, you went from no big depth to we have too many bigs
Yeah.
and no wings. It's crazy.
Which kind of shows you how sneakily short they were on wings, because they only really traded one that played.
Yeah. Well, that one was theoretically supposed to be a big part.
He was, but he was also like, I think it really with this deadline, like today, I've been thinking about this a lot. The Bucks are really short on a true two.
They have been for like 7 years.
They have. But I feel like, I don't know, we like the players like Ajax Green and Trent.
I mean,
we've tried to be positive.
Theoretically, AJ Green is an ideal two for the Bucks.
I wouldn't say ideal just because he's not athletic. I know he's a good defender on ball, and obviously the shooting is great, and he's a good offensive player. Some of his passing decisions are a little questionable, but if he was a little bit more athletic, but also if he was more athletic with everything he does, he would have been drafted and probably making $20 million a year right now, like the players we wanted them to get, because that's kind of the cost, right? An athletic two-way player who can knock down threes,
like a DeAndre Hunter, like a Cameron Johnson, like a Lonzo Ball.
These are expensive players. But the Bucks could have gotten one. That's the thing. You get under the apron. If they had turned like MarJon, Pat, Bob, and picks, whatever, I don't really care about picks, into Cam or Lonzo or DeAndre Hunter, or even like a small like Bob in a pick into Terrence Mann, who was traded to the Hawks, and then that's your new two guard, then I feel like I get the picture.
Yeah.
Like, okay, it makes sense. Dame, Terrence Mann, or Hunter, or whoever, Kuzma, Giannis, like, oh, okay, we're really switchable now. We can go small better now. I feel better about the options. Now, I really feel like the Bucks are going to be in a place the second half of this year where not many people, both like observers watching the team and the players on the team, are not going to be happy with the rotation. Because we've talked about this like in years past. Sometimes it's hard when you have like 12 guys who are fringe rotation. Because like, yeah, you're deep, but who do you play? Because you're not going to play 12 a night unless you're Steve Kerr.
Yeah, and Steve Kerr can't even do that anymore.
Yeah, he's tired of that too. They had to send Kyle Anderson away.
Yeah, it's too much. I think you're just banking on, we just need as many chances as possible. Like each one of these is a lottery ticket to say, hey, can you be good for us, please?
Yeah.
Are you playable? Can you fit with Dame and Giannis? Because they haven't figured that out. They don't. Yeah. They haven't. It's been a year and a half, and they haven't figured it out.
Yeah.
A lot of that's been out of their hands. Granted, there's been a lot of injuries. The Khris injuries have really derailed that. Khris, Dame, Giannis never played a playoff game together, and they never will. I mean, hopefully not. Maybe Khris one day, please. But they've been struggling. They've been a middling team, and they're trying to build themselves on the spot because they haven't figured it out yet. They haven't. And I think this deadline is proof of that. They have no clear vision. They have no idea of what this team should look like. Because if they did, you would try to make it happen, wouldn't you? Instead of just this muddled mess of players that is now the Milwaukee Bucks with Giannis Antetokounmpo and Damian Lillard.
It feels like a half measure.
It does.
Because they don't use any picks. They gained one pick. I mean, they sent a pick swap. I don't care about the pick. It's garbage. I mean, if Washington gets the second most favorable of Portland and Milwaukee in 2020, that's a very low value asset. And they got a second in that trade too. I don't know why, unless like they could, and I think they could have gotten things done. Like Hunter, the Cavs got Hunter for 3 seconds and a mortgage swap, one of those unvaluable swaps. And Karis LeVert and
Okoro?
No, it was Niang. So I mean, maybe more expiring money than the Bucks would have sent, but like I think Bucks 31 pick might get you in that door. Like Levine, did they offer it? We don't know. I thought maybe the Bulls would take their pick anyway, but the Bucks had a first and 2 seconds to throw around and just didn't, and they made all these low value trades instead, and that just doesn't make sense to me in this Dame and Giannis year. Like, I don't think you can save powder to this extent, because if things go really bad this year, how many more chances do you get?
Look at Phoenix.
I mean, look at teams where the guy isn't there anymore also.
Yeah, honestly. Look at what the Pelicans
which might be Phoenix, once KD this summer is a whole thing, but
hey, maybe there's saving room for KD, but also like you're not in a position to save and wait. You're not. You're really not. Like Giannis and Dame are both having incredible seasons, despite everything. They are having incredible seasons and they are playing their best basketball together. That is undeniable. You can't squander these chances. You can't. Otherwise, you end up being the Sixers.
Yeah, who are just ducked the tax. That was their big move this deadline.
Like, otherwise, you're just sitting there wasting talent.
Yeah. I mean, it's a big bet on Giannis and Dame, especially Dame, I think. I mean, now there can be no more how aggressive should Dame be? Dame's got to be aggressive. Like, there's no two ways about it. They are going to need him to be the on-ball maestro Dame. They're going to need Giannis to be, obviously, he is anyway. And they're going to have to figure it out from there. I mean, the pecking order that had been established for a long time is gone. I want to talk more about, I guess, how the Bucks are going to figure this out the rest of the way, and any other thoughts you have on the deadline. But first, of course, our friends at Prize Picks, our treasured friends, our comfort in a hard time, are doing a special for Super Bowl week. You may have heard of little-known player Patrick Mahomes. If you feel like he's going to throw for more than half a yard during the big game, which I feel pretty good about that. I don't know. I'm going to go out on a limb and say, yeah, I think he can make that happen. If you want to get on that big game action, you can at Prize Picks. If you've never used Prize Picks before, it's fast and easy to use. You withdraw your winnings quickly. So if you're trying to swing around and secure that new Jericho Sims jersey after a big dub on Prize Picks, you can do that same day in a matter of hours. Prize Picks is able to play in more than 30 states, including Wisconsin and some other ones that are less important. And it's just a really fun way to pick more or less on player projections, 2 to 6 picks. You can win up to 1,000 times your cash. It's a real money daily fantasy, and it's a lot of fun. Rohan and I have been playing for years now, really, and very much enjoy it. So download the Prize Picks app today and use promo code EuroStep to get $50 back when you play $5 for the first time. That first $5 lineup doesn't even have to win. It can lose like the Bucks did at the deadline. So download the Prize Picks app today, use promo code EuroStep, and make sure to enjoy that $50 on us. Prize Picks, run your game. I actually think Bob is going to be really important the rest of the way.
Yeah, he kind of has to be.
Yeah, I mean,
but also it's crazy because I can see him needing to be very important and also excised from the rotation. Like, I can see both.
I think there is, for the first time, I mean, since, I don't know, before the Drew trade, there's a real power vacuum. You know what I mean? They added Drew, and they had Drew and Khris and Giannis, and then Drew was flipped for Dame, and then they just have kept those guys. So it's been okay, we know the top three. And if you want to say Drew and Khris or whatever battled for whatever, that's fine. But in terms of the overall, it was those Giannis, then 2 other guys, and then everyone else. And really it was Bob, and then going down from there. And I don't mean power in terms of some clutch sports. These guys aren't making trades. I just mean in terms of how much they control offensively. How much does the team bend around them? And there is going to be one of those now with Khris gone. Even a Khris who couldn't play full minutes and couldn't play back-to-backs, when he was out there, he still commanded a lot of the offense. And that's going to be up for grabs. I think in the playoffs, you hope it's just more Giannis and Dame, and that is going to happen, I think, in all the games. But there's still going to be room for more players to step up. I think Big Bob is going to be one of them, for sure. And then from there, it's Kuzma. Obviously, Kuzma coming in is going to be one of them. But can someone like Trent, can he be more consistent if he's got more opportunity? I don't know. I haven't really loved how he's played on the ball this year. So I kind of hope not, but maybe. What do you think about it? Am I overblowing this impact? Is it just obvious it's going to be Bob and Kuz?
I think there's no other options.
Yeah.
That's it. That's your other shot makers, really. That's what's gonna happen. Bob, at least Kuz is more dynamic and can do something for himself.
He gets to the rim sometimes too.
Yeah. At least he's big and athletic and can do things with the ball. God, I'm really talking myself into this, aren't I?
A lot of people, not less in Milwaukee. A lot of people are.
Yeah. He's got to be really good, but there's potential.
There's potential, and he needs to reach it for this to not be cataclysmic.
Yeah. I think, yeah, Bob is important. We saw in his first game back against the Hornets how much of
Yep.
an impact he can make. Also, who knew that Mark Williams was available?
Against Lakers franchise center. I don't think it was, I mean, that wasn't expensive for the Lakers. But Bob looked good against new Lakers franchise center Mark Williams.
Yeah.
The next Kareem, Shaq, etc.
Listen, being a center playing with Luka can get you anywhere.
Yeah, that's facts. He is going to be probably shooting 70% from the field the rest of this year. Luka and LeBron.
I know, it's crazy. They look like an actual team.
Yeah,
But
might tune into some more of their games.
yeah, it's fun.
Yeah,
It's going to be
sounds
fun.
nice.
But with the Bucks, you have to rely on some Bob shot making. You have to rely on some Kuzma shot making. I think Trent is I think he is going to be the one that needs to step up a lot because he
Yeah,
theoretically has some on-ball juice. Like you said, it hasn't been great and it has been inconsistent, but he at least theoretically has some on-ball juice, and he has for a lot of his career. Can you tap into a little bit of that? Like, can you do that? Otherwise, you're just relying on Bob and Kuz to bully teams. And honestly, for this Bucks team, bullying teams might not be a bad identity.
yeah. I mean, they're really big now. Like, assuming, let's not even talk about Sims at the moment. Like, just Giannis, Brook, Kuzma, and Bob. That is four big players who can operate with the ball and score at the rim. Like, there's outside of like obviously teams like Cleveland, there's not a ton of teams out there that are going to have a front court rotation that like there's not there's going to be players out there that those guys are matched up against regularly that they should be able to take advantage of. So that is one thing that's pretty interesting just to see, can the Bucks weaponize that size and do it without kind of ruining their offense? That's obviously going to be a big key. But yeah, I agree with that. I mean, the other things are, can one of the young guys step up and do more on ball? I mean, Rollins, I think, would have probably the largest upside here because he has just shown it more, I think, as an on ball creator than either Jackson or Green. I think those guys to me are more of just like intermediaries than like you're not giving them the ball and asking them. I mean, I think when they've done that with Green, it's actually been pretty rough. I don't really like him running the pick and roll. I think his role needs to be smaller. Maybe a little more Rollins, like playing with Dame, being that second playmaker. I will see. They still need to sign him. We haven't heard anything about that yet. Really would like to see a multi-year contract come to terms with Rollins. I think that would be ideal and be another, again, some of these nice moves around the fringes have been good this deadline. Then some of the big ones feel lacking.
Yeah. It's banking on a lot of internal development, which I don't know if that's the right move to make.
Yeah, I mean, I do think even though they didn't do the second swing that we looked for of the second kind of guard player to step in, it does still also feel to me like trying to, and this is where I think the big rotation gets a little clunky with this vision, and that's why I don't like the deadline as a whole, but trying to just streamline, like it is the Giannis and Dame team now. And I think they were kind of getting there regardless, but this is going to force there to be more Dame Giannis actions, more of those guys in general on the ball. And it's going to leave you without a safety net of the safety net that was Khris Middleton, who could just come in if one of them was out or having a bad game. And it's going to require more from those two and more nights like the Hornets game from Bob, where I think this has been a trend for him. Usually if Giannis is out, he looks very good. He gets more touches. He feels like he's in a rhythm. He steps up and he plays well. Can he tap into that more often with Khris out instead of Giannis? I'm not sure. That's a different proposition.
Do we feel better about Bob's minutes now that they have Jericho Sims?
I just am fascinated to see like how it works. I mean, I think maybe like if they're going to play him next to a real center more all the time, probably.
Because that would be better, right? Like, so you
That's
don't
better
have to
for him.
you don't have to have those minutes where it's just Bob letting guys walk past him and get to the rim.
I mean, we've seen off and on from him the post playmaking, and like Sims is a guy who can like cut and just flush from the dunker. Like,
Yeah,
could
he's
there
a
be a little bit of
super
a
athlete.
high-low game there? Perhaps there could. But again, now you're talking Kuzma is strictly a three.
Yeah, which is bad.
But I guess I shouldn't say strictly. I mean, it's matchup based. If you want to go really small, you still have the Giannis Kuzma 4-5 option. that I think a lot of this was about, I mean, then you're really cutting the minutes of Lopez, Portis, Sims, some combination, but you do have the option. It's just, I think the key for them, I think the front court's going to be hard to manage. I think they can do it. The key is going to be figuring out the combos of 2s and 3s between Dame and then whatever's going on with the front court. And I think that's going to be tricky to do, and it's going to really require figuring out the combos that work. So I think there are going to be some combos that work really well, even with this weird roster, but there's going to be some that don't. Like, I think if they try to start Dame, Ajax, Kuzma, Giannis, Lopez, I think that lineup will be a disaster.
Yeah. Like, how does that match up against like the Celtics? How does that match up against the Cavs?
Like, again, defensively, I guess you can see it, right? Like, you have a lot of athletes and everything, but offensively, they're just going to ignore everyone not named Dame and Giannis, of course. I mean, the Celtics don't really even help. Like, maybe it could work against Boston, but the Cavs, I mean, they're going to have Mobley and Hunter and Allen just like place like offensive linemen around the paint.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, with Dame and Giannis, teams were just going to ignore everyone else outside of them anyway.
I agree.
But that's the thing. You have to take advantage of that, right? You have to surround them with players who can make the team, like the opposing defense, pay for that.
Yes.
Not just say, hey, that's what they were going to do anyway. Why even bother?
Yes.
No. That's not the mindset.
That's why I think you can start Kuzma, because I think even if he doesn't, like, I agree. I think your point is great. And I've said this week too, of, Kuzma, because of his career number, they're never going to guard him from 3. They never would anyway during a Dame Giannis pick and roll. Like, that's just smart prioritization. I don't need him to shoot 38% from 3. Can he catch that pass and attack a closeout and dunk? Like, can he do something like that? Like, that works fine. It doesn't have to be only 3s, but I do think you need to.
You still have Giannis in the paint there too, like as a dump off option too.
But I think it's got to be AJ Green on the other side, because then there's just nowhere to run. If teams are ignoring AJ, they're ignoring Brook, they're semi-ignoring Kuzma. I just don't think that those 3-4 players can play together that much, which puts you in a tough spot because 3 of them have been starting, and one of them is the guy you got back for Khris Middleton.
Yeah. I think this has been a horrible trade deadline for Andre Jackson Jr.
Yeah. The Bucks, and I don't think totally unfairly, have decided they want some other options for athletes on the roster.
Yeah.
Which I think which kind of had to happen. Yeah, again, not a bad idea on their part, but it makes his spot more tenuous for sure.
Especially when, like, just catch and shoot shooters are needed in the guard spots. Like, you just have to have those now. It's not an option. And the good thing is the Bucks have a couple of those. They've got Dame, obviously. They've got Rollins. They've got AJ Green. They got Gary Trent, which is great. That's really good. But then what does that do with Andre Jackson?
That 38% better hold, man.
It has to. Otherwise, he's just out.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I am fascinated to see in the first game, assuming they'll have all these players by then. I maybe they would. Kuzma was in Milwaukee yesterday, Wednesday night, probably for the physical, unless he just didn't know that they were on the road. I assume it was for a physical. So I would assume Kuzma would be ready. I mean, he was playing right before the deadline. We'll see about the other players and how much they factor into the rotation anyway. But fascinated to see the starting lineup, the first subs, the 10 guys who play in this game. What is it, Atlanta?
Yes.
Which we got a Chris Haynes, Trae Young's future in Atlanta is murky report 1 second after the deadline, which doesn't feel ideal for them. But they had a really weird deadline of they sent Bogdan in 3 seconds. They got Terrence Mann. They got Bones Highland. They sent away a Zeller who had never played for them for some reason. Odd moves. Obviously, they sent DeAndre Hunter, too.
Is that to Zeller? I didn't even see that.
They had Cody Zeller. They sent him to Houston.
Cody Zeller was on the Hawks?
Yeah, I think so. Do I have the wrong Zeller? Yeah, he didn't play. He never reported.
Wow. I didn't even know that. I completely missed that. But yeah,
I mean,
Atlanta,
there was not much to miss, buddy.
Yeah, we got enough to deal with the Bucks.
Yeah, with Buck stuff. Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna be. The first game is gonna be crazy
Yeah.
I don't know what's gonna happen.
No idea.
They play the Hawks tomorrow, Friday, at 6:30 Central.
Is it national?
Is it national? Oh
I
God,
mean,
please don't be national.
30s are usually not.
I'm looking.
But do they do national games on Friday? Maybe it's NBA TV.
Oh, I'm pulling this up. 1 second. Oh, this app isn't loading fast enough.
Is it in the NBA app?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just making something up, but I feel like
it's not. It's not national.
Okay.
For some reason. I mean, not that it's not national, but like it's at 6:30 for some reason.
Yeah, it's. I don't know, because the other maybe. Oh, did this get flexed?
Oh, it did. Maybe.
What? Because now they have
Sixers.
No. That wouldn't make sense, would it?
I think it might have been flexed for Sixers Pistons.
And they just didn't change the time. I guess Heat Nets also starts at 6:30. That's weird.
Yeah.
Regardless, glad that the first post trade deadline game is not nationally televised. It could be a very bumpy ride. We'll see. I go back and forth on starting Kuzma or just like trying to keep the starting lineup. Because on the one hand, obviously they've built some sort of chemistry. On the other, they often do start games slow with the spacing concerns. And it's now a sprint to the finish. You got 2 months until playoffs. If Kuzma's going to be your third guy and a huge piece, you probably need to maximize the Giannis Kuzma minutes right now.
Yeah. Also, I just realized we have not even talked about Taurean Prince at all.
Yeah, he hasn't come up much. He's just a 3 now, which I guess is good for him.
He has to be.
Yeah.
Is it good for him? He's not like laterally quick.
The Lakers people always said he's not good as a 4 because he doesn't rebound enough, which I think he's had like 2 games where I really liked his rebounding. Then otherwise, I kind of agree. Yeah, he could be a faller here as well.
You had to trade Bob. You had to make another move. You had to. You really did.
Bob and Pat and like MarJon or whatever for a logical 2 guy who just slots right in there made so much sense.
Not even like a 2. Like, does Cam Johnson. Like, Cam Johnson is fine.
Yeah. Yeah. A wing player.
Yeah. I guess he is kind of a 2.
He's a big 2, but the Bucks like being big, so.
Clearly.
Maybe, I mean, I guess I didn't. It could. Is Prince going to be a 2? Is it going to be Dame, Prince, Kuzma?
Maybe he's the PJ replacement.
They're just massive.
Maybe PJ is the PJ replacement.
Yeah, it's probably going to get bought out. I think, is he under MLE? I think he is.
He is. He's at 11 and a half.
Yeah, to clarify, in case anyone's wondering for buyouts, first, I'm guessing the Bucks' only spot is going to go to Rollins, unless you're right about your KPJ theory.
I pray that I'm right.
Me too. And they still couldn't buy out anyone who makes more than MLE. That is a first apron restriction, not a second apron restriction. So they would be limited to basically right around what PJ Tucker makes and below. So like if Bruce Brown gets bought out, no. If there's another player, Schroeder's not getting bought out, but he would be a no as well.
Brogdon.
13 million. Okay, Brogdon. Smart.
It's 12,822 is the MLE.
Thank you.
So yeah, you can't sign. Yeah, Marcus Smart also has another year left on his deal.
Yeah, so he won't, like Khris, won't get bought out.
Yeah,
but like people wanted him. I'd rather they didn't trade Bobby and Pat for him. I will say there were some players that I was like, I'm good. Bruce Brown, I don't think I would want to do it. Shooting like 30% from 3 lately.
Mm-hmm. You can't sign Ben Simmons, who's making $40 million.
Are they going to buy him out?
They might.
Wow.
You could sign Lonnie Walker.
They would probably be frothing at the mouth to sign Ben Simmons.
Oh, yeah, like, hey, you're big?
It's perfect, yeah.
You're big? Welcome to the team. We didn't have bigs before, so now we need all of the bigs.
Yeah.
Crazy. Should we do like a little whip around the rest of the league, I guess?
Yeah, the East didn't make as many big ones except for the Cavs.
Cavs got better.
They got better. They got Hunter for Levert, who was good, but Hunter's just clearly better. And Niang, I don't think was big for them. And the pick cost was not that much. This is one where I think the Bucks should have done this.
3 seconds and 2 swaps. And the swaps are mortgage swaps.
I think the first and your seconds beats this. Maybe the Hawks didn't want your money. And the Cavs could have done more. They had a first, they could have done 2. So if it got into a bidding war, maybe the Bucks lose anyway. I would have liked the Bucks to get in on that. That's a really nice trade for them. They finally have like a real set starting 5 where you're not like, it's not that meme where it's like a clown and 4 soldiers. You know? You know
Yeah.
that one where they're like, now it's Garland, Mitchell, Hunter, Mobley, Allen, and they still have some good depth.
Ridiculously good.
Ty Jerome, who's apparently incredible.
Yeah. Max Strus.
Yep.
Crazy.
So that's nice for them.
Tristan Thompson.
TT, still the backup center somehow. We'll see if I think they could be on the buyout because they might be below the first apron now. So we'll see if they find a big.
They're not even a tax team.
Wow.
They got
nuts.
under the tax.
That is good management. That is good management. The Celtics did a salary dump. They just sent Jaden Springer. They have a roster spot now. We'll see what they do with it.
It's probably going to be Lonnie, isn't it?
I don't even know if they want him.
Well, they had him in camp.
I know. And then they let him go. I mean, we'll see.
Well, they didn't have a roster spot. But also, if you wanted him, you could have made a roster spot.
I'm not going to be... I think Lonnie probably got a little overhyped during that period. I'm not going to cry if they get Lonnie Walker.
Yeah.
The Knicks just did the swap with the Bucks, so Delon Wright and Cash for Sims. So basically no change. I don't expect Wright to be a big factor there. The Pacers
did a few things, didn't they?
They dumped Wiseman to the Raptors. I don't think they added anyone significant, though.
No, they didn't.
Was that their only move?
I think it might have just been the Wiseman move.
So salary saving and it opens a roster spot.
The Warriors got Jimmy Butler. Oh wait, we're still talking East. We're still talking East.
Yeah. I wanted to do. I mean, that's the biggest one, of course. Who else is an East team? The Pistons kind of just moved parts around. I mean, we could probably go to the big West trades. I think the rest of the East trades, Brandon Ingram to the Raptors, they're not really relevant.
I saw an ESPN graphic that says new duo in Washington. It's Khris Middleton and Marcus Smart, and I wanted to start crying.
I don't know why they had to do that to our guy.
They just did it to make us feel bad.
I think they did.
There's no other reason to do that.
No.
There's literally no other reason.
Washington had a nice little deadline. They were up to 19 seconds, and they traded 4 of them for a first.
And then they traded Jonas Valanciunas to the Kings.
Yep. So they did a fire sale, but they're going to be able to, they're going to do like what the Thunder have done in years past of like the guys that they got picks to dump, they're probably going to get picks for in like the offseason.
Yep.
Which is good.
I mean, they might cut Reggie Jackson.
I think they are. He's a buyout guy.
I think they already officially did, actually.
Yeah, I think they did. Probably to make another trade go through. The Raptors got Ingram. So they now have like the mid Voltron team. IQ, Barrett, Ingram, Scotty, and Pirtle. I think they're going to probably still try to tank and hit his broken ankle with a hammer to make sure he doesn't play for the rest of this year or something. But they're going to probably pay him a whole lot of money and be stuck as mid forever. But they got talent, so that's something, I suppose. And then, the West went berserk. I guess the East, so the Heat part of the Jimmy Butler thing. They get Wiggins, Kyle Anderson, and then they got PJ, which they flipped to Toronto for Davion Mitchell. Really like Davion Mitchell for them.
Yeah, he's a Heat player.
Yeah, and they needed defense, especially guard defense with like Hero and Robinson. I think they got better. I mean, Jimmy just wasn't going to show up, so they have real players now, which is nice.
Compared to a player who wasn't actively on the team.
It was just gone.
Also, so Jimmy Butler has just been on paid vacation and got a $120 million extension. Maybe not paid vacation. He was on vacation.
I mean, I think he's going to probably fight with the PA to get some of that money back too, but that's wild. Yeah, the Warriors go in, and they don't have to give up a future first. It's like this year's first, top 10 protected, and they don't have to give up Kuminga or Moody. So they're keeping the 2 timelines alive, but they add Jimmy Butler to Steph and Draymond after KD could have went there but said no.
Which I think is the funniest thing that happened at this entire trade deadline.
He let him sit on it for like a day.
They're like, oh, KD, you want to come to the Warriors? And apparently, I forget, I think it was Anthony Slater who reported that it even got to a conversation where Steph and KD had a call.
And then KD was like, I'm good, actually.
He's like, no, I'm not really excited about coming here.
No thanks.
And then I think the report was the Warriors were okay with getting a disgruntled player, but had underestimated how disgruntled KD would be on the Warriors.
That's insane, given they got Jimmy and immediately gave him $60 million a year. KD was like, I don't even want $60 million a year from you.
Crazy. Is he going to be on the move in the offseason? Who knows?
Probably.
I mean, yeah, it's like the Phoenix is broken.
They traded Nurk and one of their picks they got when they did that bad pick swap, which now looks terrible, for Cody Martin and Vasilije Micic, which are not good players.
Micic probably going to get cut. Who knows?
He's a player option.
Of course he does.
He's got a player option. He's not going to get cut, and he's really, really unnecessary.
No, hey, we're setting the standard. People with player options can get cut, Ty.
That's true. I mean, Micic isn't a minimum, so it's a little harder.
That's also true. It's just, I'm glad a lot of stuff happened in the West.
Yeah. Obviously, Luka to Lakers, AD to Mavs. I feel like we're missing one.
Fox, I guess.
Fox to Spurs. Yeah, Levine to Kings. We talked about that. I feel like there's been another couple big ones. I mean, the Kings did a bunch. They got Valanciunas, you said. They got Levine. And then they got Laravia from the Grizz. The Grizzlies had a weird deadline.
Yeah, they
were like, maybe we'll get KD, maybe we'll get Jimmy. We're just going to dump salary.
They traded 2 firsts to get Marcus Smart and then had to attach a first to get rid of him.
Not good.
No, not good.
I think now they opened up room that they can renegotiate Jaren and extend him, which is nice for them, but
that's good for them. He's having a monster season.
Yeah, but not real talent coming in the door there.
No. But yeah, a crazy, crazy trade deadline.
I think all but 4 teams made deals at the end of the day. So almost the whole league involved, and so many big names moving around, which really is like the what makes it so crazy.
Which is also why I was like kept on holding out hope that the Bucks would do something, because I was like, oh no, it's just there's a queue in the trade call. Like that's why this isn't going out. Trust me, it's okay.
Well, I mean, we were 10-minute warning, and I was like, oh, I think they really need to do something. And I see Sham's Milwaukee Bucks pop up on the screen. It's like, oh my God, what is it? And that was the KPJ deal, which. Out of nowhere, and the worst feeling part of this all, which is wild considering that they traded Khris Middleton this week too.
Yeah, just if you just got to cut him, you have to.
Yeah,
you have to.
I don't think they're going to, but
I hope they do, and I hope Bucks fans protest and make sure that they do.
Yeah,
you want to trade Khris Middleton and have them put Kevin Porter Jr. on the team in the same couple days? Do you think that's good business? Have you seen what's going on? I mean, this isn't the same level, but have you seen what's going on with Mavs fans? They've had to offer season ticket refunds to Mavs fans.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Because people have been canceling in mass.
Yeah.
Do you want that to happen to Milwaukee? Do you? So why do these things?
Yeah, I mean, it is like what I was trying to say earlier is just a big prove it deadline for the front office and just like the organization as a whole. Because I don't think a lot of people are going to look at this and think this team makes a lot of sense now. These moves look like good moves. They really need to play the best basketball we've seen from the Milwaukee Bucks in 3 years about at this point, 2.5 years. Or I just think there's going to be this wave of disappointment. And I mean, it could end up causing them the chance to contend going forward. I mean, you have some future assets now. If Giannis isn't bought in, that doesn't matter. And I mean, if this doesn't work, if Kuzma isn't a good fit, you just have so much retooling to do that it's just going to be extremely difficult. And you're getting older every year. It's Giannis is 30, but Dame also is. It looks great right now, but I don't think you have punt years. And last year turned into a punt year, no fault of their own with the injuries. Now this year, it just feels like they did not go all in here, and I just don't really know what the purpose of that is.
Yeah, and it's not like you're even trying to keep 2 timelines. You traded your most promising rookie.
Yeah. Yeah, great point.
Crazy. It's crazy. I don't understand it. I think this is the most lost at sea the Bucks have been in like a decade.
Yeah. Again, like if something just clicks and Kuzma is like a terror as the third guy attacking these bent defenses and whatever. I think Sims, I'm high on Sims. Sims looks great defending the rim and unlocks a new version of Bob. And, the young guys continue to play enough and like click with these players. The athleticism makes a big difference and they can start attacking the offensive glass and they can run in transition and they don't get beat down the court all the time. Maybe we'll be sitting here like, I guess they saw something. I guess that, they saw things adding up in a way we didn't. But I agree with you. Right now, things feel very fraught.
Yeah. The potential's there. Like, I don't want to be all like, doomer,
Yeah.
but the potential's there. Like you mentioned, there is room for this team to click. And it clearly, I mean, I guess if you're the front office, it wasn't clicking. You had to do
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
because this
I mean,
team
I
was
agree.
middling. Like it was a team who looked lost, and I mean that hasn't changed really. They still look lost, but at least it's a different loss, and it
Yeah.
gives you a chance. Like you had so much evidence with this current team. You're 48 games in, 49, whatever. I forget how many. You're X many games in.
Yeah.
You
Like
you
27
have
and 22, 49,
yeah 49. That works.
I think. Yeah.
You had enough time to look at this roster and say, "Hey, what can you do?" And they showed you not much, you know. So
Yeah.
I guess it's like, "Hey, we're not seeing much. We got to shake it up."
Yeah.
And they definitely shook it up, but maybe not
They
enough.
shook it up. And maybe not in the right way.
Yeah, maybe some of the problems are still there. I cannot believe that Pat Connaughton and Bobby Portis are still on this team.
I can't believe Pat more than Bob, actually.
Yeah,
Because once you got into the second apron with the Khris Kuzma thing, you no longer had to get rid of Pat. And we've talked about like he's a nice break glass in case of emergency guy. Maybe they'll need a shot creation even more now, which is a little scary. And why give up an asset to dump him just to do it if we already talked about like, if you're not getting a player that slots above the other 12 guys in contention, it doesn't really matter. I thought Bob going would be more likely to kind of open up this front court minutes, but it's going to be a big Bucks. I mean, I think that is clear. Like, I think, I don't know how much Sims we see. I hope we see him a bit, but obviously we're going to see all of Brook, Bob, Giannis, Kuzma play, I think quite a bit. So they're just going to be a really big team with Prince now a 3 and everything else.
yeah, it's gonna be fun to watch.
Is
It's
Giannis
good.
going to play his first small forward minutes? And I mean, outside of, I guess, with Bob and Brook, which occasionally they've done, but not very
Yeah,
often.
yeah, not a crazy amount, but they've done it.
Sims, Bob, Giannis, Kuzma, Ajax. Just the hugest lineup.
I mean, like that's something.
It is
Is it
something.
good? Is it good? Probably
I don't.
not.
I don't. I don't think so. Maybe. I don't know. It's
God,
athletic.
Brooke Sims, Bob, Giannis, Kuz.
Jesus. See, I don't think
God.
you can do Brook and Sims. I'm trying to not do that one.
Hey, but I have part. He's your spacing.
That's true.
He's your spacing in that lineup. You got
Yeah.
Brooke and Bob on the wings. You got Sims in the dunk spot. You got Kuz operating on at
Kuz
the
is the
corner. You got
one.
Giannis up top. That's
Kuz is
something.
the two. Kuz is the two. Giannis is the one.
Yeah.
Brook is the 4. Bob is the 3, and then Sims. It's going to be actually really fun to see how they integrate Sims. That's maybe what I'm most excited for because they've not.
Watch them not do it.
And they might not. That would suck. They've not had a center this athletic. I don't know when. Since we've covered the Bucks.
No, they haven't. They really haven't.
I mean, it's the closest. I mean, people are going to say Giannis. He's just not. He's not really a center. He doesn't play like a center. Teams don't guard him like a center. Like a center like this to have with Giannis. Like
Henson?
Henson I mean, Boogie just couldn't move like this.
No.
I mean,
Jericho
even
Sims
Prime
has one
Boogie
of the
wasn't.
highest recorded vertical jumps in draft combine
He
history.
participated in the dunk contest.
He did.
It didn't go
He's too,
well.
He's too big for the dunk contest.
Yeah, I mean, it's like none of the big guys have done really well in it.
I don't think have the Bucks ever had a springy center like this.
Someone said Dan Gadzuric.
Maybe.
I wasn't watching Hoop when they had him. I can't attest to that.
No, neither can I.
I mean, is he springier than Larry Sanders? Probably.
I think so.
I'm really excited for that because I do think if Bob's just a strictly 4 going forward, that is better for Bob.
Oh, it's 100. It's better for Bob. It's better for the Bucks.
Yeah. So I kind of see that part of it. I think it's going to be weird to manage all the minutes here, but maybe they're just like, you know what? We want to be really big. We're going to own the glass, and we're just going to keep reloading Dame and Giannis, and that's the play. You know what? I'll see it. I'm excited to see how that goes. It's not what I would have done, but that's where we're at now.
This is it, though. This is the team.
Yeah. I just realized we have to do stocks. New stocks.
Yeah, we
Or
do.
do we
don't
wait?
we?
Do we wait until a game?
Let's wait until a game. I don't want to
Okay.
do it right now.
Yeah, I
I'm
know.
too depressed.
I know. I don't know where. I don't know where we're gonna slot Kuzma.
We got to retire Chris's stock somehow.
Yeah.
I'd say maybe like a 16.
I was gonna say 20. We had Delon Wright at 20. What were we? Oh no, we put it in here wrong.
Oh,
He should be at 11. Yeah, he should be at 11. But it said 20.
Oops.
There we go.
Fault.
Let's fix this right away. I was like, wait a minute. I know we were higher on him, but I don't think we were ever that high on him.
Hey, typos happen.
Maybe 16. 16 is Ajax. I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm hoping Ajax comes in better than
I think
Kuz.
let's see a
Kuz
game.
comes in better. Let's see a game. I mean, I think Sims is going to be low.
Well, like a 10 or a 9.
I would say, yeah, probably even. Maybe like
7.
5.
5 is what Pat's at right now, I think.
Pat's at 4.
Oh.
CL is and MarJon are at 5.
Ugh.
We'll discuss. We'll discuss.
We'll figure it out.
But yeah, we'll do that during the next game, which is Friday. I'm sure we'll be back. I don't know when we'll be back.
We're coming back though. Don't worry.
We're coming back. We're not done. Unlike the Bucks, we're not done.
Yeah, this is we're gonna keep pushing. This team can theoretically do great things, but I am not convinced.
Yeah, no. It's prove it time now. And for all the people, I got a lot of, at the first reaction, which I do think, probably a lot of emotion in the early reaction to the Khris Kuzma thing. But a lot of people are like, oh, you just come on, like watch it play out. Like, yeah, we're going. We have no choice. I mean, we're not gonna turn off the stream for the rest of the season and just be done. We're gonna watch it play out. But our job is to say how we're feeling at the moment, and not great.
Yep, not great at all. But you know what? We're going to keep pushing. We're going to keep doing this because you know what? We love doing this.
We do. And we got to see Jericho Sims DPOY happen in front of us.
I want to see Dame's going to love Jericho Sims.
Jericho Sims is going to love Dame too.
Yeah. Just like, hey, just throw it up there, see what happens.
The big lob throwers on the team, Dame and Brook Lopez, are going to love him.
Oh, God, the best lob thrower is not on the team anymore.
No, Dame's gotten pretty good, though.
Yeah, but it was Khris.
I know.
Oh, I'm sad again.
Yeah.
It's not something you get over in a day.
No, it's going to probably be like rest of season.
Yeah, maybe more. He's going to be on the Wizards, so we're not seeing him in Milwaukee again this season.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Yep. We don't even get that tribute video this season.
No, and who knows where it'll be next year.
Probably the Wizards.
Maybe a Buck.
Maybe a Buck. Let's manifest that.
Is it when the league year rolls over, or is it 1 year? I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, it's the old Goskis rule, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if he was traded to another team today and then bought out, he still couldn't have signed with the Bucks because they still could.
If they ducked the first apron, then he could have.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But well, trade deadline's over. At least we can just strictly talk basketball now and maybe a little bit of buyout. But it's just basketball from here on out.
Yeah.
So we'll keep this train going. Appreciate everyone for listening. Just pod random. We'll talk to you next time.